Okay, Jen. So I don't know about you, but I wear a watch. Boom. But I don't wear this when I'm going to the gym.
Of course not.
Now I don't go to the gym often. I sometimes go with my stepdad because he's got like a nice little pass thing. But I've got a lot of just my own stuff at home. And so you're going with him to the gym this last weekend, and like there's this guy in there, and he's wearing a watch and a chain, and I'm like, my guy.
Are you talking like a neck chain?
I'm talking like a big chain,
and not a smartwatch, like a analog.
This
dress
is like
watch.
like a watch like mine, and I'm like, mate, this is like you're at the gym. It's early Saturday afternoon.
Okay.
This is ridiculous. Like, what are you doing here? Surely it's getting in the way. I don't know. I was like, I nearly went up to him. I was like, mate, that's got to be getting in the way of the gains. Like,
all right. So, message to everyone out there in East Derbyshire: if you're heading to the gym, make sure you first remove your chain, remove your watch, or at the very least, bring a bag along with you in order to put said accessories. Because Joel not having it. He's not having it.
I'll get annoyed.
Not at the gym.
Cross.
Wear appropriate attire. If you must wear a watch, get a sport watch that at least counts your steps or something useful. Thank you. Good night.
Preach to him.
Welcome back to the SpewnedIt Podcast. What is something that you have always wanted to do at some point in your life? This is surely a question that many of us have asked ourselves throughout the years, including myself. Hi, I'm Jensen. This is my great friend Joel. And today we're going to be talking about what most people call a bucket list. Now, as I understand it, the term bucket list comes... as I'm thinking about this, it sounds kind of silly, and it might be wrong, but as I understand it, the origin is that things you want to do before you kick the bucket, as in die.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what, yeah. Yeah, I back that.
Is that just like a commonly? That's crazy that's what that means. Okay. Anyway, but what, Joel, is something that you have had on your bucket list, something that you've always wanted to do, never got around to doing, but definitely want to do before you kick the bucket?
I mean, and I hope that day is very far away.
Indeed.
But obviously it's a great question, Jets. And I feel like it's something that, with a lot of things, like a few things on this list for me have changed. Like fairly recently, but one thing that has stuck with me from like ages ago is to go skydiving. Like it's something that boggles my mind. It freaks me out just thinking about it. But I'm like, that sensation of falling to the earth has just got to be, in my opinion, it's got to be something else. Like I'm not that extreme of a person. Like I love going like exploring and everything, but I'm not like is it considered like it's not an extreme sport, but so you know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah, in that vein.
Okay, yeah. In that sort of area. Yeah. That's not my usual sort of forte or area of expertise, but I feel like it's something that I would really, really like to do at some point.
And it's funny you should say that, because also the first thing that I wrote down when we were planning this episode out is also skydiving. What did I do? I did indoor skydiving. Have you ever heard of that even?
I've heard about that. Is that when they have just like a massive fan on the floor?
Basically, yeah. They've got this giant...
They look so
giant
sick.
Tube, and it's just like a giant fan on the floor, and then there's kind of a mesh at the bottom.
So cool.
And it's wild. It's very cool. You get in there, they like teach you how to go like this, and like hold your hands and your legs in a certain way, like you've seen in every movie where they're skydiving, right? They're always doing this because that's how you like control yourself. And then what they show you is you can like actually move your hands like to direct yourself so you can like spin around, and that's pretty wild because you're literally just floating there with the fan. You've got your suit on and whatnot, and then you're just moving your hands and you're like spinning in circles, and there's actually like stuff you can do, and like they teach you how to flip around, stuff like that, and that's all just like lesson one. You're in there for like 5-10 minutes maybe, and you do that.
Yeah.
And then the coolest thing that they did was that the tube itself is quite tall. It's not just like a 6-7 foot like chamber that you're in. It actually goes up a good 20 feet at least, I would say. And so what you can do is if you want, they'll like grab your hands and then like crank up the power and like send you up to the top of the thing and then back down again, which was easily the coolest part. And they like charge extra for that, but like we all did it, and then at the end they actually had some kind of error, and he's like, I just gave you those for free, don't worry about it, which was sick. But the main thing that I found that was lacking was at no point did I get that feeling where I feel that I am falling and there's like that kind of cold in your chest where it's like the panic. But I don't know if it's adrenaline, whatever it is, that feeling is kind of what I strive for when I do something like that, or when I go on a high ropes course. And I feel like I'm also not like an adrenaline junkie, but I did used to have a fear of heights, and I just kind of like was like, this is dumb, and I just climbed everything that I could or jumped off of the high dive because I'm like, this is stupid. I need to get over it. Similar actually to, you know, me and you did quite a few high dives in our day, didn't we, at Lake Vic? But I did not get that feeling from indoor skydiving. So definitely on that bucket list is going real skydiving someday, and you know, taking that leap out of a plane and you know, plummeting to the ground and pulling your chute. Looks cool. I saw a video the other day. This is sort of on topic, of a guy who was, I guess, skydiving, and he landed on a building, was caught by security on the building, and then they were like arresting him or whatever. He had a chute, and then he like bundles his chute together and just jumps off the building and base jumps to a beach below and escapes the security. They were like gonna arrest him for like trespassing on this building, and then he just dips, and it's right next to a beach, and he just lands on the beach, and he's gone.
That's so sick.
It was crazy.
Wow.
Super illegal, I'm sure, but it was bonkers, and it was all a GoPro video, so it's just his POV, like being confronted by these security guards, and then he just base jumped to the beach.
Yeah, they just be like, "Yo,
crazy."
See you later.
Yeeted himself off of a building. It was wild.
That must have been one of the coolest things he's ever done. That's got to be.
Dude, yeah. Speaking of yeeting yourself off of something, I have always wanted to go bungee jumping as well. I think for a similar reason, and it just looks neat. It looks cool. You're flying through. You got the harness on. Like, it's bungee jumping. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna it's probably in a cool area, because I always do it like off a canyon, off a bridge, you know, off of some cliff face. You've got some experience with that, haven't you?
Well, yeah, it's funny that you should mention that, gents, because I think I must have been, maybe like 15, maybe like 14, 15. And I went bungee jumping in Uganda, and just an incredible experience. There was this classic place. They had it, you know, just over, you know, like a little bit of water for, you know, Lake Victoria. And I mean, honestly, just incredible. Like, it was amazing. And yeah, I mean, you know, classic Uganda with something like this. You know, it was pretty sketchy. It was a bit dodgy. You know, it had been a lovely sunny day all day. My cousin and I had gone on like a quad bike trip. Get to this place, and the weather just turned, boom, straight away like that. Started getting really windy, and just like the whole thing, you could just hear it creaking, going like side to side. And then they tie you up, and they're using just like a towel to like oh man. So I was freaking out.
What's the towel for?
But no, basically, so they like wrap the towel around your leg so that it doesn't,
like,
so it's not too tight. So it's and exactly. Okay. And then they actually like get the feet things on you. But man, like, it was scary. It was scary. But I remember, so obviously they do one at a time. So I got done, and then they took me around into the area where you can have like a really good vision of it. And my cousin does it. We're like 15 at this point. Yeah. I've never heard him do a higher pitched scream than the one he did doing that bungee jump. It was insane. I cried. I cried with laughter at that point. But yeah, honestly, an amazing experience. Something I would massively, massively recommend. It's funny that we say that we're not usually adrenaline junkies, but a lot of these things are quite, you know, you are after something. And actually, the second one that I've got is I'd really, really like to drive an F1 car. Like, I know I would fail and I would not be able to do it, but just that experience of absolutely going for it, and just being in a machine of such power, I feel would be absolutely insane, and would just be such a brilliant experience. Something to be, you know, be able to, like we said, tick off the list before I you know, boot the bucket or kick the bucket, I suppose.
The bucket.
Something.
Is that a phrase? Do you say
boot the bucket? No.
Okay.
I do not, but I might start doing that now.
Just trying to make it a thing. Boot the bucket.
I feel like kick the bucket isn't something that's said anymore, but I mean.
But anyway, it is like an actual phrase. At least.
It is. Oh, it is definitely an actual phrase, but I don't think it's used very much anymore.
I don't know. It's not a common one for sure, dude. As for the Formula One thing, I don't think I could do it. Like,
yeah,
I don't know, man. I've gone 100, you know, a number of times. I can't imagine going 100 approaching a bend. That would be crazy.
Yeah,
or like
and that just has to be like how fast that you go.
Or maintaining any kind of speed. I can't take a turn at like 60, which is what you like. That's what they're doing, right? Like, and you have to have so much trust in the car and the ability of yourself, and like to stay on the ground. My car right now, dude, I almost went off the road 2 days ago when I was driving to
You
work.
serious?
Yeah, it was really icy. They definitely should have delayed school to let the ice melt because I've got my Mustang and it's a real rear wheel drive car. Terrible on any kind of ice or inclement weather. And the road was icy. We were supposed to like the school that I was heading to had a long, not super steep, but it was a very long hill. I almost didn't make it up, dude.
Yeah.
By the end, I was
Seriously?
like drifting at like kind of a almost like 30-degree angle. Like my car was kind of diagonal.
What?
Kids in my class said that their school buses were drifting, like because of the ice on their way to school.
With something like that,
It was. I legitimately didn't. I almost turned around and just went home. I was like, I don't know if I could make it to the classroom today. I did, and it was a bit of a rough day. But man, it was terrifying, terrible. I can't imagine driving an F1 car. But moving on to the final. Both of ours actually have something to do with travel, but slightly different.
They do.
Mine is another one that you've. Have you done this?
I have.
You have.
I have
Gone
done
to
it,
New Zealand,
indeed.
yes. And
New Zealand.
I
The
have always
Kiwis.
wanted to go. The more that I talk about my bucket list, the more I sound like I'm an adrenaline junkie. But maybe it's just because I just haven't.
I know.
done
I
any
was
of these
gonna.
things. But the reason why I think New Zealand sounds awesome is because what I've heard is that you are able to go. I believe it's downhill skiing, whitewater rafting, and is it bungee jumping or skydiving? It's some other extreme sport thing that you can all do like in the same day, just because of the way the landscape is and like what they have set up.
Yeah.
And that
I'm
sounds
pretty sure I've
crazy
heard
because
that,
whitewater
yeah.
rafting alone, very intense. I did that on the Nile. Our first flip was awful, and then from then on, I was like afraid of flipping over because I got caught like in one of those rapid things. It was just underwater for too long, and it was no good.
Scary. Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
from that time on, we
no.
were just afraid of flipping.
Not
And
very
then the next time
nice.
it happened, it was not nearly as bad. And we're like, oh, we could have just been like having fun this whole time. But instead, our first experience was like the worst one possible.
Freaking out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was rough. But New Zealand, I think, sounds awesome. Also, Lord of the Rings land. Just go take a little tour, casual little tour of Rohan, Mordor, if you will.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Got to be done. Got to be done. Yeah. No, I mean, so I had the privilege of going to New Zealand. I was living there for a couple of years with some family friends, and
Very
I mean,
cool.
just a gorgeous country. Like it's breathtaking. So yeah, I'd highly recommend it.
I should have visited.
But yeah, so like we said, similar. Yeah, mate, that honestly would have been so cool.
Should have made it
if
happen.
you'd come out to.
Should have made it happen.
Mate, I tell you what, life is just too short, and that's why I do these things before you kick the.
That's what we got to act. That's the other thing is like, it's not, relatively speaking, that hard to like do. Well, you've got some harder ones on your list, but like, you can go and make it happen if you spend enough money, basically. But sorry, carry on. You were saying.
Hey, it's okay. Hey, you were having a great little speech there. I love that. But yeah, I'd love to. I've always been fascinated by by the poles, by the North and the South Pole, and I would love to go to the South Pole. Are there? You know how there's like the. I'm gonna sound really stupid here. You know how there are the Northern Lights.
Yeah.
Are there the Southern Lights? Is that a thing that happens? Okay.
Don't believe so, my friend.
Anyways, I feel like if I was able to give a fourth option, I'd love to see the Northern Lights like in person. But yeah, no, I'd love to be able to go to the South Pole, and just I think it's little things like that with the scale of things. For some reason I find that really interesting, and just being able to look and just see barely anything, and just the scale of that I think would just be really fascinating. Yeah, well, I think both of us we've both traveled quite a bit, and so that's obviously something that is kind of in our in our genes, I suppose.
That is true.
And something that I would love to be able to do more. And yeah, I think that's one place in particular that I would just love to go at some point. Just because I think, why not? Like, I think it would be great. And then, yeah, the Northern Lights as well would just be, whoa. They're just one thing. I can never get tired of watching videos of the Northern Lights, and I'm just like, you know what? I actually want to be there. I want to go there and actually see it. Mm-hmm. That's the plan. At some point. We'll see.
The plan.
Hopefully makes it happen. But yeah, I feel like bucket lists, I can't remember. Well, I mean, I definitely can't remember. But I don't know how long bucket lists have actually been a thing for. But I think they're great. They're nice. They're just nice to be able to have and give yourself little goals. And I think it's something that, people should chase. Absolutely. 110%.
It should. So this is us here at the SpewnedIt Podcast telling you chase your goals. Do something on your bucket list, or make a bucket list. Maybe actually you just need to write a couple things down. Doesn't matter how big or how small that you want to accomplish. It could be as small as starting a journal or working out every day for a month. These are good goals to have that I have never actually accomplished. So if you want to be better than me,
do those
something.
2 things.
That's all it takes, ladies and gentlemen. That is all it takes. And on that disappointing note, I think it is time for us to end.
A little bit sad.
But if you have enjoyed this podcast, please let us know in the comments. Tell us something that's on your bucket list, or maybe you've just added. And we will see you next week.